In this video, we're just going to adjust the front derailleur. So just like the rear derailleur itself, we're going to have a high limit and then a low limit screw. So again, I'm just going to make sure it's shifted all the way down here. So we're going to have the high limit and low limit screw. So the high limit screw prevents the chain from falling off. So this would be onto your crankset or off the actual outside of the chain ring. And then the low limit screw is going to prevent it from falling onto your frame. If you do have a carbon fiber frame, very, very, very important, just so that you do protect your investment there. So yeah, we're going to have a high limit and a low limit screw. These screws really don't have, or they're typically not labeled, but they're pretty easy to figure out. So right now, I'm just going to adjust this screw here. You can actually see it moving the front derailleur. So you can actually see it shifting forward and backwards. So that guy is going to be our low limit screw. So what that is, or what that is doing, is again preventing the chain from falling off onto your frame here. So I'm just going to make just adjust it up and then back down, and then just making sure that we're not getting any of the cable rub there. So we want to make sure that we have in between a 0.5 millimeter to 1 millimeter of space in between the inner cage here and then the inside of the chain here. So as long as the chain isn't rubbing there, also with the rear we want to make sure that is in the largest gear as well as in the rear when we're doing this adjustment. And then we just want to make sure that it's not going to be rubbing. So that would be rubbing, and then that wouldn't be rubbing there. So that's really just double checking the limit there. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to shift up here, and then in the rear I'm just going to shift this down to the smallest cog into the rear there, and then just making sure that we're not rubbing here. So yeah, with adjusting it, so with the high limit, what we're going to do is we're going to just bring it up into the biggest ring into the front here. So what we're looking for again, like the other one, is just that 0.5 millimeter to 1 millimeter of space here. So what you're going to notice is when I adjust that, you're going in and out here. You never want it over adjusted where you actually can't shift it up. So what that's going to look like is if I have this bolt too tight, it's not shifting up, and I can't shift it up any further, and it's just barely staying up there. So that's just telling me I have too much. So I'm just going to loosen that off, shift down, shift up. So anytime you do any adjustment to the limits on the front derailleur here, you're going to have to shift up, or shift down and then shift up, just to make sure that everything is being done right. So shift down, shift up, and then that's looking really good there. We don't have any rub here. It's shifting up and down very nicely, and there's no play or no excess play when it comes to that limit there here. So if I were to loosen this off, what I mean by excess play is when I can actually grab the front derailleur and then move it like that. So obviously with the limit you want to minimize that play, and just kind of adjust that in, and then just double checking that everything is properly adjusted. Shift down, shift up, and then we're looking good here, and then no excess play. And then nice, roughly 1 millimeter of gap in between the actual chain and the actual outer cage here. So that's looking really well for the adjustment. What we're going to do is we're going to adjust the front derailleur. So before we had the barrel adjusters at the handlebars here. So now I'm just going to use that. It's just the barrel adjusters up here. So I'm actually going to use that to adjust the front derailleur here. So what I'm doing right now is increasing the cable tension. So what that's doing is
which direction are you turning?
I'm just turning it to the clockwise. So I'm just extending the barrel out, and then if I were to go counterclockwise, that just kind of pushes it in here.
How do we know which one of those is controlling what?
Trial and error, because sometimes you have it crossing, but realistically the one way to tell is where the cable comes from. So this cable extends out here and then goes to the left shifter here. So that's going to tell me it's for the front, and then you can see this cable here, kind of harder on internally routed frames, but the cable comes out through here and then just goes up and then to the right shifter here. So that's going to tell me that's for the rear.
Okay.
So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to, adjust that barrel we were talking before, just increase the cable tension, and then I'm just going to make sure it shifts up. The reason why I did that is just to make it shift up easier, because before it wasn't really going up, so it was kind of like, it was just, getting a little bit of rub there, So by adjusting the barrel, what that's doing is it's making sure that's shifting up all the way. And really, if you find it hard for your system to go from this lower gear to this upper gear here, and you're getting a little bit of that rub, just give the barrel adjuster a quick adjust there, but everything's looking pretty good on this bike.